guys are on stream now, by the way.
Recording unavailable. What?
Oh no.
No, that's awful. Here. No, I want to do that. Here. I'm gonna leave and come right back really quickly.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. How's your night going?
It's good. I don't know how much of my background you can hear. My dad's watching a movie, but
Okay.
it's good. How are you?
Good. Ready for the weekend.
Yeah. Oh boy. Oh my god. Mouse sensitivity. Christ.
So you guys are both in California?
Yeah, we are. We go to the same high school.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. I don't know what. Why is it unavailable? You know what? Here, I think I might just start a new meeting, and that way I'll be able to record. So I'll start something instant and put the link in the chat.
Okay. How do I access the chat? Let me see.
There's a
Oh,
here.
I see it.
All right, I will be back momentarily.
Okay.
We love tech, but we hate tech. Oh my god. Why does it never work for us?
I'm not good at the technology stuff, so I can respect people who are.
See if that works.
Oh, okay. Um,
Worked.
all right, let me leave this other one. Okay.
Okay, I can record. So thank God. Thank God for that. Thank God. I just needed to start a new meeting. All right.
Wonderful.
Okay, we're live. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry for the delay, folks. All right, I'm gonna start recording. Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, and our non-binary friends. I welcome you one and all to the Hidden in Plain Sight podcast, a podcast that has interviews about topics regarding the troubled teen industry, whether it's abused, exploited, or neglected children, or parents of any of those categories. I'm your host, Colin Silber, and co-hosting with me is Faceless Aces. Today is not only our return, because I have not recorded one of these since like March, and by the time you guys are seeing or listening to this, it has been such a long time since I've actually had these episodes on the channel or on Spotify. But regardless, we have returned. Today we're going to be interviewing somebody today, so go ahead and feel free to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are before we get started.
Sure. My name's Delaney. I go by Laney. I live in Orange County, California. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Audio is interfering. Ace, if you don't mind muting.
Sure.
All right. Start again. Sorry, technical difficulties tonight, folks.
No, you're good. So my name's Delaney. I go by Laney. I live in Orange County, California. I'm currently a social worker. And a big part of what inspired that is I got sent to a program called Recreation Retreat when I was younger.
Okay, so throughout our time talking to all these very, very wonderful people, all of the people we have talked to are very, very sweet and very, very kind-hearted. So The most I've heard is just the most every time I meet with one of these people, I ask them what their background is before they went into the facilities. So the first question is, what was your life like before facilities?
Um, Ooh, that's such a loaded question.
No.
Um, well, I guess what kind of like led up to me getting sent away, just to put everything as short as I possibly can. I came from a really good family growing up. Um, and when I was in seventh grade, my mom unexpectedly got cancer.
Oh.
Um, but luckily, she did survive. She's still alive. But when she went through that experience, it changed her a lot. And she became like really like ultra religious, which our family wasn't used to, like to the point where she kind of became a little crazy.
Oh wow.
Um, and that really influenced, yeah, that kind of really influenced they like my parents got really, really strict, kind of out of nowhere. And we weren't raised like that. So they put me like in a Christian school, and I started kind of like pushing back and rebelling. Okay. And that's kind of like how all this started to occur. So my sister got me like drunk for my first time, and I started drinking a lot. Eventually, I ended up getting kicked out of like the Christian school that they put me in. And then from there, I was kind of like bouncing around because, like, at the time, I was like a kid, right? I wasn't able to like put into words that I can now that I'm an adult. Like, really, it was kind of like a cry for help, right? I didn't really
Yeah.
feel connected with my family, and that's how I was coping with it. But my family kind of saw it as me just being like a bad kid. And it really wasn't like that because I never got in trouble until I started to be controlled and kind of all of that. Um, so then I went to after private school, I went to continuation school, then I went to a public school, then I went to another continuation school, and then eventually my parents sent me away to a program. They got recommended to do it. They had put me in like some, I don't know if you guys know what an outpatient program is.
I
Um,
do vaguely.
yeah, so that's pretty much what, huh? What'd
Vaguely.
you say?
They vaguely uh
Vaguely what?
Yeah,
vaguely
I
they
vaguely know
vaguely
what an outpatient facility is.
Oh, got it, got it. Yeah, so I was only like smoking weed at the time.
Okay.
It wasn't until I went through the program and actually came home I started experimenting with drugs. I really was like just kind of like a normal kid.
Yeah.
I just the more they try to control, the more I push back, and that's kind of where the issues stem from. But before they ever try to control me, I actually got along with them great.
The common theme that we have seen with everyone we've talked to, is parents that like are told like this is beneficial, or it has to do with, strangely enough, Christianity. That's something I've heard a
Mm-hmm.
lot. And well, to my thoughts on that, as most people probably know, I hate religious based like stuff like that. Like I hate the Old Testament so much. Like I hate it like more than anything in regards to religion, because it's what most people decide is what's based off of their bigotry. So, needless to say, this isn't surprising to me, but it is still devastating to hear that this is what you had gone through. And I mean, it's just it just sounds like, and I mean your story is a lot less like, right, your like background is a lot less. A lot of people have said that they've had like really rough sort of experiences. We've heard of we've heard of just We've heard of actual rebellious kids and parents that didn't know what to do with them. And we've heard of parents that just like they just couldn't handle it. And like the schools were like, you probably, I don't know if I'm going, I feel like I'm just rambling on at this point, but I feel like you can kind of see where I'm coming from.
Yeah, so like, well, for me, I have always kind of felt like my parents always felt like they needed to fix me. This wasn't the first type of thing my parents did to try to like, even when I was like in second grade, my parents put me in like a weird school that was kind of similar to the program where it was like in order to be able to play on the playground, we had to like earn a certain color. So it's like this has kind of like been a thing that has always like come up in my life. And then like I will say like the people who recommended my parents to send me away, this is again, this is why it was so stupid because my parents put me in something called an outpatient program. An outpatient program is for people who are like who have like drug addictions, and you know I got drug tested. I had to submit so many meetings. Like I had to go to groups. Like it was like a program, but while I lived at home, and it was really silly because the type of program that I was in was only for kids who had been like who had like gotten in trouble for drugs and like were court ordered to be there. I remember there was like a time like I was in group and this guy was like going through each person's like paper, and I was like the only person there who had only smoked weed, and I was also the only kid there that's parents like volunteered to put them there. And I remember like the kids laughing at me and me being like, why the fuck am I here? So I had like a bad attitude while I was there. Well, those same people are the ones that told my parents that they recommend that they send me to a program because they said my attitude was so bad. And it's funny because I grew up in like the suburbs. I grew up with mostly like white people and stuff. And these people were like telling my family that I was going to be like a leader of a gang. Like just saying just outrageous things where it's like, what fucking gang? Like, you know, where it that and it's interesting because now that I'm older, I see like what. So for me personally, I believe my mom and my dad both sent me away for different reasons. For my dad, I really do think he was trying to help me, and I think he was just they scared him, because my dad has like trauma of his own. Like the first grandchild on my dad's side of the family, like his nephew, was long story short was like murdered and killed. So
Oh,
he has like trauma from his past where they pretty much scared my dad and was like, if you don't do something, she could die. And I think that kind of played on his like heart,
Damn.
right? Because he was so scared. He saw his sister have to like go through that, and he was like, I'll pay whatever you need. Like just help her. And then for my mom has a lot of trauma from her background. And for me, I felt like my mom more used it as punishment, like to kind of get the last word, right? Um, so that's like I feel the problem with these programs is they'll kind of like accept anybody. You'll have people who were maybe getting arrested or doing drugs or like just being a really bad kid, and they'll get sent to the
Yeah.
program. And then you have these other kids who really like didn't get in trouble, who were like way more innocent than even I was, right? Like we had a girl who like never got angry, had never had sex, had never smoked weed, drank, like she was like the captain of her cheerleading team. Like she was like, it was funny because when she got to our program, there was like a rumor going on that she was like an undercover or like a narc. Like she was so innocent, but we were all under the same roof, right? And you have like girls who have severe mental health problems, right? Who are just released from like being hospitalized in a psych hospital, right? Like people who need actual help and people who really don't need to be there, and we're all living together. And that's what makes it so like ridiculous, is there's no way to kind of like screen and assess people properly, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. Now, the question I had that came up when they said they were putting you, they said that you would become a leader of a gang. Was that racially motivated? Possibly.
I'm white, so I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe they're
Oh
just being
wow.
stupid.
They're just idiots. It was a bunch of like you have to understand, like where I lived, it was like a suburban. Orange County is already like really a bubble, and I was in South Orange County, which is like the suburbs of the bubble. So it's like you have to there's like a bunch of people that work there don't have exposures actually working with gang members. They don't have exposure like working in like low poverty areas. They're like these like oblivious kind of like sheltered people.
It's a
Uh,
very it's a very small little. We're Angelinos. I've been a bunch of. I've driven across to Orange County. Probably one of the most beautiful places in the state. I will say that right now.
got money,
It
right?
has money. It has a beautiful beaches. Like, come on. Like, there's no. I don't think this is the place for where gangs would gather. I would know. My mother used to teach in South LA, where there is gang
Yeah,
violence
seriously.
day in and day out.
Right.
So I don't understand their problem. It's probably because they're delusional. It's probably because they're just trying to say things to scare them just so they can get more of that profit. I the world this is an answer with there's so many possibilities as to why they'd be saying something like this. My
Mhm.
thought is the want for money and an
Yeah.
ego that is not easy to temper. It's a whole ordeal.
Yeah, for sure they probably got kickbacks.
I
I
I
wouldn't
I
be
don't,
surprised.
I don't doubt it. I
Yeah,
don't doubt it, definitely.
yeah.
All
So
right. So, when you say your conditions, your living conditions, was it co-ed? Was it just females? Was it males? And was it just males? Or no, it's not just males. Was it co-ed or was it just single gender?
it was only female. It was run by Mormons, so
Oh
they
God.
were very gender fluid, very female. And it was 12 to 17-year-olds. So I will say we did have a 12-year-old, and she for sure got picked on and bullied a lot more because she was smaller.
Oh.
So that definitely, that's the thing too, is like to get through the program, everyone is held to the same standard, regardless of like how old you are, if you have like any disabilities or anything like that. Everyone's treated the same way no matter what.
Yikes. 12 is really young too. Like this was
Yeah.
this was an outpatient facility. Most like
Outpatient.
diagnoses for like mental health issues don't happen until like you're over 13.
Obviously, because it's troubled teen, not troubled, you know,
Right. Preteen, yeah.
not
So
preteen industry. No, 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 no. That's not how it works, guys.
I mean, it is.
yeah,
They do have
and
preteens
you have to
for sure.
understand, like exposing a 12-year-old to like, yeah, when you expose like a 12-year-old to like what 17-year-olds are doing, it's a different kind of thing. Like even if you're just looking at high school, like you have from 14 to maybe 18, usually 17. There's
Um,
even bullying going on within those ages. So like imagine like a bigger kind of age gap where it's like a environment where everyone is looking out for themselves, right? It's very like dog eat dog. So to have someone way younger than you, for sure they're gonna get picked on.
as always, so this 12-year-old was the runt of the pack per se. If you don't mind my metaphors where I kind of use that analogy.
She was definitely like treated that way. We had 13-year-olds though too. So, like I said, they were all ages.
But the 12-year-old was still the youngest, which is like that's kind of a shocker. And I mean, like I'm just thinking about it. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure like it traumatized her like in a different way because of like how the brain develops and everything like that.
Brain's
Because
still
Definitely,
developing
yeah.
until.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
your brain doesn't develop all the way till 25, but I think it probably affected her in a different way.
Yeah.
Uh, you're only in seventh grade. So
Possibly sixth too. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, like the it's just yeah.
I
So
think it'd probably count as an adverse childhood experience, if I had to
Mhm.
say.
Oh yeah. Um, it's definitely shaped my life even till today.
as it would any other human being with the sense of morality, a
Mhm.
sense of wanting to try to feel the world out and to try to make sense of everything.
Mhm.
If you're thrown into something that like don't you honestly don't want to handle, you probably aren't going to handle it in the best way possible unless you are forced to.
Right. People will do what they need to do to survive. You'd be surprised what you're capable of.
I I pray to God that I'm not forced into a situation where I have to force myself to survive like any of the people I'm interviewing have, because that just sounds like just the worst.
You don't see the beauty when you're going through the struggle, but when you get through the struggle, it's different because I kind of see it as like I'm much more appreciative of things that people who didn't struggle, like they don't appreciate it. Like, for example, um, and I have this kind of like, I guess, weird understanding with people who have been incarcerated in that way, where it's like they know what it feels like to not be able to look outside or hear the birds or feel the wind or just like have freedom to like do what you want, eat what you want, say what you want, like do things like that. And when you come home, you're so grateful for that stuff. Where someone who's never experienced that hardship, they don't get it. They don't understand how lucky like we are to be able to do stuff like that. But that's like the beauty of struggle, but you don't see it when you're actually like going through it, if that makes sense.
That's pretty. You said it better than I ever could have, at least. It's pretty much like I always say that everything is meant to happen, even if you don't know it at the time. So,
Hmm.
because those are what mold you into who you are. If your life is pretty much just smooth sailing, you're not gonna learn the hard lessons, and that's like that. I feel like that's the important parts.
Hmm.
Before we get too deep, though, I did want to let's talk a little bit more about this facility you were in. So, I usually like to ask what it looked like because I want to get the atmosphere like in my mind, so I can like really tell how you know obnoxious and painful it was.
Um, Okay, well, it was to me, it wasn't really that. Okay, so it's located in a place called Fredonia, Arizona. So
Um,
this is what makes it kind of weird. So first of all, Fredonia, Arizona is like a town of maybe like 1,000 people. It's in the absolute middle of nowhere. You're in the middle of the desert. And this is what makes it weird. It's technically on an Indian reservation. So they have like weird laws and all this stuff because of it's their land. I
all
know,
because it's on Native American soil.
correct. So I don't even know how that really works.
And
So
it's in
it's
a
in the middle of
different
the
state, too, right?
Yeah, so
There's
girls from all over the country get sent. It's on like kind of like maybe 10 minutes from Utah. So most of these programs are in Utah and stuff.
Yep.
So it's in the middle of nowhere. It's designed that way. So if you try to run away, they can find you fast. And there's literally nowhere to go. Like, the closest kind of place you'd be able to escape, it's like a 4-hour drive from Vegas. But pretty much it was like a old kind of like wooden lodge. So that's where like the sleeping quarters are at. That's where our school is at. Um, that's where like we do laundry. And then right across from it is like a rundown, like closed down restaurant. Um, and that's where we do groups, and that's where we cook and do stuff like that.
Okay, so out of all of the stories I've heard, this sounds like the most summer camp-esque to me in regards to facilities. I don't know why, but the log cabin and the cooking and other activities, I'm assuming it was meant to look like some sort of summer camp, but I didn't design it. I imagine the person who did design it was like, let's try to make the kids blah, 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 as you can probably grasp from what I'm saying.
Well, like, yeah, when I got there, I was the 9th girl to ever be sent there. And
Jeez.
we fucking cleaned what?
9.
We fucking cleaned the whole place up. Like, they used us for so much labor. They had us like doing all the landscaping. Like, I remember they had us pulling weeds, and like during the summer, like when it was like 120 degrees outside.
Oh,
In Arizona too.
Yeah, in the desert, right? And I remember we would clean for hours. For hours. Like, we were the reason why it looked so nice. Like,
Yikes.
they didn't have any staff. That we were the chefs, we were the custodians, we were the landscapers, we were everything.
oh my God.
I'm
That
kind
is
of curious. You said you were the 9th girl there. Did they have different experiences based on like what gender you were?
I didn't understand what she's saying. It's cutting out.
different experiences based on which gender you were. That's what the question
Well, there was no males. There were only females.
Oh.
I mean,
Or what was the question?
I think that was the question. I didn't really catch it either, but yeah. Sorry
So,
again for
no,
the
yeah.
tech.
You're the 9th female, but it was only females. So there are no other males.
Ninth
I
girl,
see.
ninth person
Right.
in general, which sounds that's okay. It's disturbing because
Well, you're like the guinea pig, right?
it's disturbing
Yeah.
because you're the crash dummy. They're using
Right.
you as an example for what they want to do to the others, and that is awful. That is terrifying. This is the first time I am hearing this of like somebody like of the original. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, and this was the first facility the owner had opened, so he really didn't know what he was doing. We were definitely pigs, and um, you know, as the longer I would stay there, the more rules he would kind of add on. Like, he was still kind of figuring things out, like what he was doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like this seems like a guy that is sounds like a I don't know.
An asshole.
Yes, I have heard of cult leaders.
He's an
So,
asshole completely.
I
And
don't know if he's a
he's
cult
very
leader,
sadistic.
but it sounds like he's a character. To put it nicely,
I don't know
Yeah.
if you need to put it nicely.
Right. Straight up douchebag, piece of garbage, dirtbag, whatever.
Yeah, manipulator for sure. Because he tricks parents into sending their kids there and doesn't really like. See, this is the thing. If it was a program that actually gave you treatment, I would have had a really different experience. But there is no treatment. Like it's a joke. So one of the weird things about so his name was Randy. The
Randy.
weird things about Randy is he is a licensed clinical he's a licensed social worker, licensed clinical social worker, which pretty much means he can provide therapy but doesn't know anything about medication. That's like additional schooling that he would need. His goal for all of us was to get us all off medication. So all of us, whoever was prescribed medication when we got there, you weren't taking it when you left. Um, it was kind of like a weird thing he had. And what makes it even kind of weirder is his entire family worked at the program.
Oh God.
Like his wife, his kids, like everybody. And his kid even had a relationship with one of the girls there. And he was able to continue working there for like 10 more years.
Yikes.
God.
So there's just a lot of, it's called like nepotism. There's a lot of
Yeah,
nepotism.
nepotism. I've heard that.
Mhm.
Now the question I have: was it prescription meds or was it?
Prescription meds.
Yeah. Okay. I take prescription meds. So to say that like this dude's goal is to
Yeah.
completely take away some that's like taking an inhaler from somebody.
It's
Like lung
crazy because
medication.
Like you don't do that. You don't like
no,
that's pretty much I'd say that's like it's a form of I'd say it's a form of child abuse, and I think it also if super drastic could be kind of homicide. I don't know.
well, and again, you're still expected to complete the program the same as anybody else, despite what disabilities you have, plus no medication. That's why I say that you have girls who have like severe conditions and they're not medicated. And so, like, there's just constant chaos going on.
That just sounds horrible, and I'm just like I have to ask how many, if any, passed during your time.
Passed away?
Yeah.
None, because I was one of like the first, like I said, I was like only the ninth girl there. It wasn't towards the end of my stay that like they started actually filling up. But I do know that sorry, it's not funny. It's just insane. Like one of the girls that I'm still really close with was telling me like during her stay there was a girl who tried to kill herself. So she
Oh.
basically went into the bathroom and I guess like, oh no, yeah. She went into the bathroom like where the living quarters were. So in each living quarter, you had two bunks to a room. And I guess this girl, like smashed the mirror and she was a
Oh.
Wow.
trigger one. She was stabbing herself in the stomach. And they had because we're in the middle of nowhere, they had I think it's called Lifeliner, where they get like a helicopter like that lands in the desert and like picks her up and brings her to the hospital.
Oh,
And
jeez.
YouTube, please don't age restrict me or us. Don't do that. It's you're not seeing anything. You're just Sorry, I had to. And don't demonetize me either. I just had to say that. So they put her in a helicopter.
so they put her in a helicopter and they took her to the hospital. And my friend said that was like the last time she saw her.
Oh my.
And she said that the next day, because all of this happened at night, and I'm pretty sure this happened in that girl's room that I'm friends with. And she said that the very next day, like Randy, like took all the girls together and was pretty much like, you guys aren't allowed to tell your parents like what happened, or you're gonna get in trouble, you're gonna get dropped like a level, or you're gonna like lose all your points, whatever. um, and basically saying like that girl is manipulative and attention seeking, and she thought she could do that to get pulled out of the program. Like pretty much not acknowledging the fact that this girl wanted to die and was like willing to risk her life just because she was that miserable when she was there. And pretty much instead saying that she's like a manipulator and she thought her parents were going to pull her and she's not getting pulled. She's going to like pretty much like using her as an example to like scare us.
Just like blackmail.
In a way. And then I know that I also talked to this girl who just recently got out in August, and we're pretty close. We got connected because a reporter like introduced us, like a reporter that wants to expose like the facility and stuff. And she told me like the facility owner, it's a new guy now, Randy's not the owner anymore, that this owner was pretty much telling her like since he started working there, like 5 girls have killed themselves since leaving the program. Like,
Oh yeah.
Oh.
you know, but that's like, and that's just girls who like committed suicide. That's not to say that like other girls haven't died because of like drugs or like just like decisions they made. Like I know I was making stupid decisions when I came home, trying to figure out like a way to cope with everything I had just experienced. Now that I'm older and I'm in therapy, I'm like on my journey to being healthy, I realized like I had PTSD, and I was really just trying to escape like how I was feeling. And a lot of girls when they came home, they did the same thing. But nobody like tracks these numbers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you, and I feel like it's deliberately hidden just so
Sure.
they aren't. Yeah, that's not a surprise if that's the case. Now,
Yeah, sorry.
no. You go ahead.
I was gonna say it's funny you say that because they definitely like discourage us staying in contact with one another. Like when you leave, you're not allowed to like swap numbers. You're not allowed to like discuss any type of content. You're not allowed to like share your last name or discuss anybody from home. Like you're not allowed to like have any type of like contact with people, even though we all do. Like we're like, yeah, fuck you. We're staying in contact. Like I just went through that experience with these girls. Like you're not gonna. I'm going home. You're not gonna fucking tell me. You know, you're not the boss of me anymore. But like
No.
when you're there, you have to like play the game and stuff. But it's just like another way of them trying to make sure that you don't team up and like speak up. You know.
Ah, jeez.
Yeah.
There are a few important questions I would like to ask.
Yep.
For this whole thing, we'll go one at a time because they are all important. So the first question is, how long were you there? From what ages?
Yep. So I can tell you the exact dates. I'm gonna age myself, but I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I was sent there on August 24th, 2008, and I lived there till August 21st, 2009. So I was there literally a year minus 3 days. And I was there from 16 to 17 years old. That's where I graduated high school.
Bro, like that's just okay. We're 16 and 17.
So your age.
Yes. To imagine spending a year
Mm-hmm.
or just under a year. I'm gonna say a year. Screw it. I don't care. Imagine spending a year in a place away from home. Not far away from home, certainly, but away from home.
It's pretty far.
You're away from home. Like you have no contact. You have to understand
In
that
the middle of nowhere in a different
you have
state.
you don't have access to a phone. You can't write your friends. Like I didn't even know if my
It's
friends
cut off
knew
from
where
the
I
world.
was.
Cut off from
Like
the world.
I thought my friends thought I was dead, honestly.
That age?
Because you know, you don't get to say goodbye. You're just taken out of your environment, like out of nowhere. So
Were
and
you
when I came home, some people were like, "We thought you were dead."
Oh
I'm
wow.
like,
were you
And
taken?
oh, sorry, you can go.
Okay. Were you taken from your home in the middle of the night?
no, but girls from my facility were transported, a bunch of them. For me, I was told by my parents that they surprised me to a trip to Vegas. And
Ooh,
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't. This is just
yikes.
awful.
so, you know, I remember I was in the back seat, my parents were driving, and we're in the desert. I'm like, "Oh, well that makes sense. You know, we're it's Vegas. It's Vegas is in the fucking desert, you know?" And they pull over to this lodge. And I'm like, "Oh, they must be lost." They both get out of the car. Neither one of them say anything to me. They walk over to this guy and this girl. And I'm like, "Oh, they must be lost. They must be asking for like directions or something." And this guy, Randy,
Yeah.
opens my door and he's like, "Delaney?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, "Who the fuck are you, stranger man, opening my car door?" And he was like, "Can you please get out the vehicle? Your parents have sent you to a facility." And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that, you know, I'd never heard of a program before. Um, and this is back in the day where they had like iPods. And I had my iPod. I was like, "All right, let me just grab my phone and my iPod." And he was like, "You can leave all that. You're not going to need that."
Oh no.
And
She.
then, yeah, that was my first day. That's when I went and did my intake after.
Mm,
I see. I wanted to ask, because depending on what age you were, would that have been while you were a sophomore, or like when you were a junior?
I was a junior, and then I didn't have a senior year because I ended up graduating school a year early at the program.
I see. Because those are like some of the most important years of your high school,
For
and
sure.
in terms of education and like socializing and stuff, and then
Yeah.
they were just taken away from you while you were in that facility.
Yeah, you know what's crazy about this, like my schooling, like technically I have a high school diploma, but it's a joke. So like we did two different types of schooling when we were there. The first one was called American Studies or something, where you literally just get a textbook and you would read a chapter and then you'd have to take a quiz at the end of the chapter, and that's how I passed 11th grade. And then 12th grade, I passed it by we got online schooling and we just clicked videos and would take a quiz after that. And that's how I passed my 12th grade. And I honestly don't feel like I just feel like I really don't have a high school education, and like the schooling was a joke. So like this is kind of another interesting aspect of the program too, is whatever school that they gave us, depending on what state you were in, it didn't transfer. So
Oh,
like girl, I remember there was a few girls where like they um like say like they thought they were on track with school, and one of them was California, where if you would come back to California, all the schooling that you did while you were in the program didn't count. So girls would be like a year behind, and like this one girl that I knew, she was already like a semester behind in school, and she thought she was caught up, or she was like a grade behind or something like that. And she came to California, she was like 2 years behind, so she just like dropped out of school. So like a lot of the girls like didn't either got their GED or didn't even get their GED because the credits weren't even transferable. It was a joke.
that's just
oh
awful. That's
no.
Just
I
again, but that has to do with the fact that Randy didn't know what he was doing. He was new to a program and he didn't think about these things because he had no experience doing it.
I think the big takeaway from how much of a screw up and a cheat he is that he was not fully educated,
Right.
and I don't know why that like him like completely like half-assing this just for the sake of, getting things done. Like, I mean,
Money.
Getting money,
Money's a good
yeah.
motivator.
money, but like, if you want a job in education or like or making or helping children,
Helping.
But
helping,
yeah, let's dissect that. That's if you want to help.
I
If
don't
you're just in it for the
Yeah.
money, it's not a problem.
I don't think he definitely didn't care because he's a cheat,
Right.
but
You
like,
know,
just no. Like, I have no, like, there's no respect for anyone.
Most of these places are like looking for money and control is the
Yep.
two
right.
main things.
They pretty much tell parents like, we can fix your kid however you want them to be fixed, right? It's like a con. And then at the same time, they're like abusing kids. That's the scam.
Yeah.
They're like the ultimate con artists. Like Randy promised parents like that he could fix whatever problem that they were having for the right price.
I
And then you
mean,
come
it's
out
just
worse than you went in.
For sure. Everybody does.
every person we've talked to has had pretty much the same, have said the same things about being worse when they got out or just feeling empty inside.
Yeah.
Obviously, we do ask about what life has been like afterwards, and we'll definitely get to that. But there was another question I had beforehand. What were the most significant moments when you were there?
I mean, there's just so much chaos. I don't even know where to start. Like every day there's something going on. Things are popping off. And it's almost like you just kind of like get used to it. Um, so I'll say uh I'll just tell you the rest of my first day. That's going to give you like a good insight on what like a normal day and an average day looks like.
Okay,
That's
that
going to
that
give you Okay. So, you know how I got there. So I did my intake. So they pretty much like gave me like paperwork, like asking me a bunch of weird questions like, what drugs have you done? Have you had sex? When did you start having like personal things, right? And they pretty much like strip you of all your identity. So they're gonna make you have to change out of your outfit. You have to put like a certain outfit on. You have to put like an orange shirt and either purple basketball shorts or gray sweats, like almost like you're in juvenile hall. And you have to wear socks with some like thong sandals. Um, it's like a hygiene thing, I guess. I don't know. So you have that. They're gonna make you like they'll take an inventory of you, like any birthmarks, any tattoos, any scars that you have in case you run away. There's a way to identify you. They like take your picture, almost like a mug shot, right? And you know, that's pretty much like what it is. The thing that I guess stood out to me the most that I think was the most scary thing, like when I was doing my intake, was they have you sign a form that pretty much states that your parents are no longer your legal guardian, that this program is responsible
Oh.
for medical decisions, your academic decisions, your legal decisions, all that. So you're kind of like, oh shit, like I'm really on my own now. And there's a huge like disconnection from like family and like actually feeling like anybody like gives a shit, right? So that was like my intake. After my intake, they're like, okay, let's have you go meet the girls. There were 8 girls over there. And they do something called intros. Intros is pretty much like them saying, my name is this. I've been here for this long. I'm on this level, and this is the fucking city and state that I'm from. So I just remember like when the girls were doing the intros, all I was paying attention to was like how long they had been there. Because my first question, what I wanted to know was, well, how fucking long is this program? How long am I going to be here for? Am I going to be here for like 2 weeks? Am I going to be here for like a month? I had no idea. And I'm hearing one girl say like 3 months, then the next one is like 8 months, then one says 2 weeks, then the other one says year and a half. And you're just like hearing these different numbers, and you're just like, well, how long am I going to be here? And that's like the scary part, where it's not like jail where you have like a sentence, you know, when you're going to get out, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You don't know. That's what's scary. You don't know how long you're going to be there. So then I had noticed this other girl who was also on what's called level 1, because there's different levels. So basically, when you first get there, you're placed on level 1, which has like no privileges at all. So I remember when you're on level 1, you can't speak to each other, you can't acknowledge each other. It's very, very, very strict. And so I already made the decision like my first day there. Like I was like, I'm not staying here. I'm going to run away. I'd rather risk dying than fucking staying here. And I sat across from this girl who was a level 1 at the dinner table. And I sat across from her on purpose because it was just a vibe. I was like, she's going to be down to run away with me. I'm going to like signal her pretty much. But I was like, how am I going to signal her without talking to her? And I just came up with a plan. So at dinner time, I purposely sat right in front of her. And while everybody was talking at the dinner table, I pretty much like got her attention by like playing footsies with her and like rubbing my shoe on her, and I got her attention and she looked at me. Like, right? So like no one was paying attention. And with my eyes, I didn't even say anything, but with my eyes, I like looked at her, and then I looked at the window like right behind her. And she knew exactly what I was saying. I didn't even have to say shit. I was asking her, "Do you want to run away?" And she like looked around to see if anybody was looking. And I just remember it was like soup that night. She was taking a bite of her soup, and she went like that. Right? She wanted to run with me. So it was on. I already knew. I'm like, I'm fucking out of here. I already got my partner, and we're gonna like get out of here. So then we go. It's now that we're done eating, done with dinner. It's time to go to bed. So they take us back over to the living quarters. Well, I'm in my room and I don't know where to get shit. I'm asking like where the shampoo and conditioner is, and no one in my room is responding. And I ask again, and I ask even louder. And then finally, this girl in my room goes to the window, and the window opens up like this much, right? Because they don't want you to run away. So it opens like this much so you can ask permission. We're not allowed to talk in the rooms, right? You're always on silence when a staff isn't around. So she pretty much says like, staff, can I tell the new girl something? We're not allowed to talk in the room, and this is where you get the shampoo and conditioner, blah, blah, blah. So I go get it. I'm back in the room, and there's another girl who's on level 1. Okay, so there's 2 bunks to a room. The lower levels have to be on the top bunk. The higher levels on the bottom. So me and this other girl are both on the top bunk, and she starts talking to me, right? So she's like, she's making small conversation, and eventually it's like lights out, and the girl underneath her bunk I see is sleeping, and she's talking with me. So I'm assuming the girl who's under my bunk is sleeping too, but I can't see, right? So we're talking, and she's asking me, oh, like, why did you get sent here? And I'm like, I have no fucking idea. And she's like, well, do you smoke? And I was like, hell yeah, I smoke. And she was like, oh, do you drink? I'm like, hell yeah, I like to turn up. And she was like, oh, well, do you have like a lot of sex or something? And at the time I was a virgin. I was like, no, I'm a virgin. I was like, what about you? And she was like, oh, well, I used to be a prostitute. And I was like, I was in a culture shock because, again, I grew up in like the suburbs, really was not exposed to shit like that. So in my head, I'm like, where the fuck did my parents send me? Like, do they even know where they've sent me? So I'm talking to this girl, and she's, and I tell her, I'm like, hey, you should run away with me. I'm gonna run away. I'm not staying here. It's just a matter of time. And she was like, don't run away. I used to be, I don't know if you guys know what a wilderness program is.
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay, so she used to be in a wilderness program, and I guess it was really, really traumatic for her. And she was like, "Don't run away, like you could die. I seen some shit while I was doing the wilderness program. You could really get hurt, especially because we're in the middle of nowhere. We're in the desert." And I was like, "I don't care. I'd rather die than be here. Like I'm done." And the girl underneath my bunk walks over to the window, and she says, "Staff, can you come here?" And I was like, I know this bitch is gonna snitch. So, long story short, she does. She tells on us for talking. And she comes in and she's like, Camille, I'm just so disappointed in you for setting a bad example for the new girl. Like, you know, it's so much brainwashing going on, right? Everyone's just trying to go home, snitch each other out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no loyalty at all. Like, you can't trust anybody. And then Camille is pissed because she was about to go up a level, right? So she just fucked up her chance to get more privileges and messed up her timeline going home. So the girl that snitched on us, she comes in and I'm like, you know, playing stupid. I'm like, you know, why would you say that? We weren't talking, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you think I'm stupid? And I'm like, well, obviously you are stupid, or obviously you are crazy because we weren't talking. And she was like, don't call me stupid. And all are like crazy. Like she was acting nuts. And it wasn't until I found out later she was fucking nuts. She had just gotten out of a psych hospital and they had transferred her right over. Oh, wow. And I, again, never been in a psych hospital, like none of that. I was very, very sheltered. And Camille is pissed and she jumps out of the bunk and she opens the door and she's fucking yelling and the alarms are going off, right? Because there's alarms on the doors. So, and then as like the girl who was sleeping underneath her bunk, she's like waking up and she's like, what's going on? And staff is like restrained. I don't know if you guys know what restraining is.
Yeah.
She's getting restrained out in the hall. So like I'm yelling, the alarms are going off, Camille's getting restrained, Margaret's like, what the fuck is going on? And like all of this is happening and this is my first night. Okay. So this is like an idea of like what it's like there. There's always shit going on. So like for you to ask me like, well, what stands out? Like give me a fucking topic. Like every day there's stuff going on. There's, you know what I mean? Multiple girls and we're all depressed. We're all sad we're here. We're all just trying to go home. So like use your imagination.
Wow. That sounds like a lot.
Does that answer the question?
You answered it. You not only did you answer the question, I have a better idea of what your experience looked like. And I can sum it up with just 2 words. A clusterfuck.
Yes.
Real.
I don't usually swear, but that is the only way I can describe what you went through based on that one night. Just
your one F-bomb of the episode.
My first F-bomb of the series thus far. I don't know if there will be more. Don't count on it. Anyways, you pretty much just sets the tone for like your whole experience. You're just like, this is the longest period of my life. I can tell.
Dude, and if I tell you the rest of just how that week went, it would also give you another kind of layer to how the program is, but I don't know how many other questions you guys have.
We will save it for a follow-up episode. How about that?
Sounds good.
That is what we tend to do. We get the baseline story and then we go in depth.
Okay.
So, my next question is, when you got out, how did you rebuild your life and where are you at now?
Great question. So, one blessing that I had that all the girls after me didn't have is I had a staff member. Her name was Crystal, and she was the only staff member at that program that gave a shit about me. And I was really, really, really lucky to have her. So, and I have to kind of explain this to kind of explain why I got into the field I'm in. So when I got to the program, my parents that love me so much didn't pack me enough underwear. I only had like 3 or 4 pairs, and we do laundry once a week. So I went to the facility owner. I put in what's called a request form, and I told the facility owner I need more underwear because I don't have enough. And when I got to the program, I was refusing. So one of the requirements is you have to write your parents a letter every single Sunday, and I was refusing every single Sunday and getting in trouble every single Sunday for it. And he was like, well, we're not going to grant your request until you start writing them. And I was like, all right, well, fuck you, I'm just not going to have underwear then. I'm just going to go commando. And because I was like, fuck this. And you don't control me. And Crystal found out about it, and she got me the underwear. And I know that seems really small, but to me, it was a really big deal because what it meant to me, and that she cared about me when she really didn't have to. And it changed something in me because I was in such a bad place, in such a like dark place in my life. Like to have just like one person care about me really made all the difference for me. And I just remember like I had like an experience. Crystal was supposed to pick us up for New Year's, and Randy had picked us up, and I knew that was weird because I knew Crystal's schedule because I always wanted to be with her. I hated Randy, and Randy picked us up on her day, and I thought that was really weird. And Randy told us that because Crystal used to live on the site, kind of oddly enough. And he pretty much said, Crystal's gone. She's not coming back. And it's going to be like, he's going to be there full time pretty much. And I remember like how devastated I felt because like you have to understand you don't really have a family like while you're there, right? Like you have no connection to anybody from the outside. You hate your family because they literally like put you in the worst situation possible. You don't trust any girls there. So it was like to have someone who cared about me. It was really hard for me to lose it. And for me, it was like being abandoned all over again. So I kind of got like a taste on what like kids in the foster care system feel like, where they're like bounced around from like home to home and they're like constantly abandoned. It fucking sucks. And after Crystal left me, I didn't let any staff in after that because I was so scared of like being left. But something inside me changed where I knew I wanted to be like a Crystal to somebody. I wanted to like make a difference. And when someone's at like the lowest part of their life, I want to give them hope. So when it was time for me to come home, I also had a teacher named Pamela. And Pamela enrolled me into college before I came back home. And I was like, Pamela, I'm not cut out for college. Like, I barely got through high school, girl. And she was like, no, college is going to be different. You're going to like college. Let's just sign you up for classes that you like. And I was like into psychology and all that kind of stuff. And she put me into those classes. And when I came home, that was the only consistent thing I had going on. Like I was drinking, I was doing drugs, I was kicking it with people who are in and out of jail because that's who I felt like were the only people who really understood what I went through. I was doing crime, I was all over the place. But school was the only consistent thing that I like showed up for. Because Pamela was right. I loved learning about like psychology and human services. And again, like I wanted to be a Crystal in someone's life. And that was kind of like the motivator to keep showing up. And that's kind of how I found like social work. where it made like what I went through, like it gave me a reason, right? Because like I can help people who may not have necessarily gone through a program, but they know what it's like to be abandoned. They know what it's like to like go through hard times or to like, you know, be depressed and all these other things. And it's like I can rely back on my experiences to help them, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And I get to be a crystal for someone, which is the best part.
that's really sweet. I fully empathize with you. That's a part of the reason why I also want to go into social work.
Mm-hmm.
After hearing about all of you survivors, I just really want to help. We can talk after because I'm
Yeah,
really interested in this specific
absolutely.
path.
We will as well. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, because this actually did. I did get a little emotional here for a second because I losing somebody that's that close to you is just the worst. I've lost family. I've lost mentors. All of that just kind of hits very close to home. I just had to thank you for being such a strong individual. And
Mhm. Thank you.
you've uh, you've transformed all that pain into wellness. So I'll end with a quote that I wrote myself a while back. I feel like I'd probably just add this to the end of the episodes. Well, I obviously said everything is meant to happen, even if it's painful. But the thing everyone should take away is as follows: if you think that who you are right now is not good enough, then you are incorrect. Those who are different and those who try are good enough, and those who aren't are the ones who should be rethinking their lives. You're special, and deep down, you know it. I believe in you and care deeply for how you plan to change the world one day. Don't stop being who you are. Strive for what you wish to be.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you. I I myself have had some struggles, not nearly to the degree of anybody I've interviewed as I stated previously, but I have there's just been a lot. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm fighting for a better world where the survivors have a voice, where people like the LGBTQ community have a voice for being silenced by the majority.
Yeah.
And I just want to help. That's why I'm here tonight. It's why we do what we do.
Mhm.
And I remind people all the time throughout these episodes, but I can't stop saying it. So thank you for giving us the baseline story. We do plan on, of course, follow-ups sometime in the near future, whenever we get to that, whenever you're available. But at the same time, we do what we do because we care. That's all the reasons why we're here. So if you're listening or watching this on YouTube, we just want to thank you once again for tuning in because we care endlessly about a better and nicer world. And with your guys' help, we're able to deliver that. So thanks again for listening to this story, and we will see you all in the next one. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, recording is over.
Oh, live stream is still on though.
That's all right. We can stay here for a little bit.
Yeah. Um, before I end it, I wanted to know. I probably should have asked this before you stop recording, but do you have
Yeah.
anything that you would say to Randy if you could?
Fuck you. Just kidding.
So real.
Um,
Yeah.
I would probably say, you couldn't break me. That, what you did to me was wrong. Um, but I've turned it into something good in my life. You didn't win.
Uh, Thing about bad guys, they always lose.
You know, and it's great because now I get to help people, you know, and I love what I do. Like, I can't imagine doing anything else.
It's just incredible, honestly.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything tonight. Thank you for taking time out of your day to speak with us. Taking time out of your evening. It's late. I get it. That's this, but this is usually the time where we meet with people. At least for now.
I'm not tripping.
I try.
You what?
I try. Just try to
Try what?
Try to help. That's what I do.
You know, and I was gonna say, just the fact that you guys care, like, sometimes that's just all people need. It's just someone to give a shit.
Yeah.
That's what I did. Like, you don't need to, like, go through the program to, like, make an impact. You guys are making an impact.
We're rising activists, or I'm a rising activist, and Ace is a lot more involved than I am, but I intend to be, I can't give myself too much credit.
Well, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you guys care and you're, spreading awareness. Like, honestly, you're doing more than what some survivors are doing. Like, they're refusing to talk about it, and it drives me nuts. But, I'm very grateful for people like yourselves who
We have to do what we have to do.
Yeah.
Living in a better world is better. Obviously, living in a nicer world is better than living in one that's shattered and silenced. No one wants that.
Exactly. And it's like, for me, what's the purpose of life? To spread love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you guys are doing. You're giving people a voice. It's a form of love.
Oh, that reminds me. I need to post the video of the TED Talk and edit it because I haven't done that yet.
Oh yeah, that's right. That should be up soon. We did talk about a lot of things.
Yeah.
That I'm assuming we will get you that link as soon as it's available.
As it's uploaded. Yeah.
Yeah, I might upload it too, just for the sake of having it.
What is it?
It's so we did this whole thing that pretty much told those who weren't in the known about the troubled teen industry.
Yeah, we have a club for unsilenced. It's called Breaking Code Silence because I chose the wrong charity.
The wrong one.
Yeah.
You can't. I could volunteer for it in a few months.
I'm renaming it anyways next year. But we had this big event where it was a fundraiser, but we also did a TED Talk. And it was basically just spreading awareness to some kids who attended. It was really nice. They were listening very intently. I'm very happy how it turned out.
We talked about Dr. Phil, that stupid bald nut.
He advocates for these fucking programs.
I know, yeah. I write about it a lot. I did a research paper on it, and every time Colin sees his face on my screen, he just goes on a rant about
him. I like making fun of him because he's like,
gross. It's crazy. He doesn't even have the proper license to practice.
Such an ass that I just can't love. I just have to make fun
of him. He's an idiot.
It's the best. It's so awesome to just throw jabs at the worst human. It's great.
Yeah, at least his show got canceled. I think he was doing something.
Oh, it did?
It did last year. A bit too late, but we'll take what we can get.
It is what it is. I don't know really what else to say. I mean,
okay. Well, if you guys don't have any questions, I can let you go to bed.
I'm up for a while, but Colin should probably go to sleep.
I need rest. But thank you for
sleep.
I do. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was really nice talking.
I hope
Yes,
to
ma'am.
reach out sometime soon and schedule follow up. So thanks
Just
for
reach
everything.
out.
Thanks for everything, and I will catch you later.
Thank you. Have a good night, okay?
Bye, you too.
Bye.
All right, then let's see. Here it is. All right then. Let's see who I can raid. It kind of tires me out. So I think that's all we're gonna do for the night. I need to work on my homework because I have a shit ton essays. But let's see. I don't know if Taco is streaming. I didn't see anything about it, but I'd love to rate them if they are. Twitch. Let me see. Yeah, I definitely need to get to editing that video. My gosh. Soft Taco is streaming. I fucking thought so. Well, you know we gotta raid Taco. So, Soft Taco X. Wonderful. All right then. So, let's go ahead and send some love to Taco, and I will see you tomorrow, question mark. Most likely gonna do a writing stream, I think. Either a homework or a writing stream, because I want to be productive. But let's go ahead and send some love. See you tomorrow, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.